It is.
But it's Marshall Sylver, right?
It is.
Right. That's tricky when you that's that.
It's there though.
You got a hypnotist with the hypnotist last name.
You
right?
got it.
You spell it. All right, ready to
There's
go?
no mistakes.
All right, we got Marshall Sylver. Thank you for coming in, man. I really appreciate it.
What a joy, man. Even before we get started, I'm really digging our conversation, so thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, what were you talking about, your ear? What happened with your ear?
I'm in resort clothing. We're on the jet coming back from Jamaica, headed back to my home in San Diego. And your team contacted me, and they've been asking me for a bit to come on the show. And I said, I don't want to charter a plane to fly out all the way out there to do a show and catch me during a trip. And so he found out I was going to Jamaica, and he said, hey, why don't you swing by and, come on down? And so we just left the resort this morning. We're at Moon Palace in Ocho Rios. And so I'm wearing resort gear. And while I was there all week, we've been diving and swimming and playing in the water. I woke up this morning and I couldn't hear anything out this ear. Literally, if you were talking to me, I wouldn't hear anything. And I could barely hear out this ear. And so I went downstairs to the front desk. We're checking out. And I said, do you have any medical assistance here? And he said, yes, they get here at 9 o'clock. It's 7 in the morning. I said, okay, is there anybody that can help me right now? And I see the gift shops opening. I walk over. I say, do you have any eardrops? They said, no, we don't. I said, what time is the pharmacy open? They said 9 o'clock. I said, what do you do for people that get injured at 8? What do you do? And so I'm sitting there, and I have a very powerful belief. Everything happens for a reason, and it serves us. And finding our lives less than perfect is a waste of time. So we'd been hanging out and socializing with all these people. This woman walks up to me, and I said, do you have eardrops? She said, no, but I have a natural drops that will work for you. It's it's part alcohol and part hydrogen peroxide and baby oil. And she brought this little canister, and I got to tell you, I was in pain. I felt like somebody had put a knife in the side of my head, and I tipped my head to the side, and she pours this stuff in my ear, and I can hear the peroxide, gurgling, bubbling up in my ear, and instantly felt some relief. And so we've been on the private jet, pouring this in both ears all the way on to get here.
Up in the air too.
Well, yeah, and we've still got a bunch of hours to get back to San Diego. So we're here. I'm not complaining. I'm not whining. I don't want to start the show with a whine. It's a fact. I have the headsets on. I can hear just fine, and I am grateful to be here.
Oh, thank you very much. And you are I really looked, because I wasn't sure about this whole hypnotist thing, but I looked, and then, as we both know, Chris from Podfest, and we both never say his last name. And he was like, oh, no, he's real. He's real. He's the real deal. And as I dug, so hypnotist, speaker, DJ, magician.
Yeah.
I mean, TV, movie. I mean,
I've had a blessed life. I'm a grateful man.
So it's brought to you by Let's Get Checked. Are you the man your father was? Recent studies have shown that men's testosterone levels have dropped substantially since the 1980s at about an average of 1% per year. Think about how old your father was when he was born. For example, if he was 30, your testosterone levels could be 30% lower than his. Low testosterone levels can have all type of health effects on men. It can affect your mood, sex drive, memory, muscle mass loss, you name it. And yes, low testosterone is more common the older you get, but it can affect men at any age. So let's talk about today's sponsor, Let's Get Checked. You can order a testing kit that will be delivered to you in a discreet packaging with next-day delivery. Once your sample arrives in the laboratory, confidential results will be available from your secure online account within 2 to 5 days. So, if you want to test your hormone levels without having to leave your home, visit trylgc.com/MSCS Media and get 25% off your test using the code MSCS Media. The link is in the description at the top. It was brought to you by Fiji. More than just water.
This is not just rock. It's ancient volcanic rock that filters tropical rain, giving it double the electrolytes and its signature soft, smooth taste. It's not just water, it's Fiji water.
Wow. All right, so let's start with this.
But then again, you're more fascinating than me, so maybe I should just interview you. The stuff you've been telling me that you do is just like remarkable.
I don't know. Some of the clips that I got, I don't know.
You must have seen me giving a woman an orgasm on national television.
That one I didn't, but I'm going to have you tell me about it. Because if you can do that, if you could teach men to do
my
that,
phone rings off the hook when we do stuff like that.
My friend, let's start a business with that.
No doubt.
I'll take all the calls, everything. I'll deal with them all.
Well, it's both men and women. The men are calling up saying, how do you touch their knee? And the women are calling up saying, please touch my knee. Just touch my knee. No one's ever touched my knee. Please touch my knee.
As long as we don't get arrested in this day and age, and we're allowed to just go like this.
We're going to get arrested just for smiling in this day and age.
So we might as well go out with a bang, right?
Exactly.
All right. So with all the business that you've done, and you've done it all, you've met we're going to get into it all. But to start off, I give you the keys. And here's what you have to do. How would you fix inflation and the interest rate? That's your only job. You can pass any bill you need to within reason. How would you handle it? Because, you're very good at speaking. You're very good at motivating people with energy. Because when I watch you, like right here, it says funny. So you don't make it like this boring thing, no offense, but where you kind of come to the same old speaker, the same old bullshit, and okay, this is what's going to make me personally, this is what you do. You do class A, B, C. I mean, your thing is a whole act. And you're doing Vegas, you're doing the Palms in 03 at the Prime.
Yeah.
So being that to get to that point, you're a monster with business, what would you do?
Well, ultimately money is hypnosis. Ultimately, fiat currency, it's just hypnosis.
That's why I asked you.
It's what everybody believes it's worth. And, we're seeing that so much right now that people don't really comprehend what's going on and that they've been manipulated their whole lives. And that when Tricky Dick Nixon took us off the gold standard back in 1973 and put us on a fiat currency, historically, fiat currencies only last about 30 years. Well, that's 2003. We're 20 years beyond that, and we're still rolling along. A fiat currency has to crumble sooner or later. There's no way around that. It has to. The only thing that's kept the U.S. dollar afloat and continues to keep it afloat is that it's the petrodollar. It's the dollar that oil is traded through. So if you want to buy oil, you've got to convert to U.S. dollars to buy the oil and so forth. Well, Russia and China are changing that right now. So we've got to figure out more powerful ways to keep the hypnosis going. But you asked a different question. You kind of asked, how do you fix the economy? How do you fix not just the U.S. economy? Because we're all in this together. It's no longer country by country. It's all tied in together. And if people don't have a worldview of everything, let alone economies, we'll never survive. One of my slogans, we have hats printed with "Together we got this," because that is what the point of view we've got to take. Is that we can no longer think my money is my money, your money is your money, because ultimately, if you're rich and I'm broke, the world's going to even it out anyway. So how about we figure out a way to get everybody rich? Not everybody wants to be. Not everybody is willing to do what they need to do, except let's figure out a way for people to know they could. Because I think that's the biggest reason people don't take actions. They don't think that they're going to win anyway, and so they get angry, they become victims, and they do all those things that don't work in the long run. But I want to address what you asked me.
I would say with that, I would say lack of confidence and then become content. And then they're okay with being content and just say, okay, this is what it is. The government's going to feed me. I'll be okay.
Complacency.
Yeah,
they think this is as good as it gets. So I've got one word for everybody watching the show right now. One word that not only would affect the worldwide economy, it affects your personal economy. And that's where it starts, on an individual basis. And the word is velocity. We're going to talk about my life. I live in Las Vegas. That's my main residence. It gets hot as heck in Vegas. So we have a second.
It's the desert, Marshall.
Yes. 2 months out of the year.
No, you mean it gets hot in the desert?
But it's a dry heat, like an oven.
Yeah.
So it's unbearable. and so we also have a house on the beach in San Diego.
Does your head get fried? You must get fried.
Oh, look at my head. Right now, my head is not just fried, it's shiny. So imagine I'm in Vegas. It's on the weekend, and I'm supposed to spend the weekend there, fly back on the jet on Monday morning. My family's at the beach house, didn't bring them to Vegas, didn't need to be there. I finish early. I finish at 5 o'clock on Sunday night. And I think, I want to get back to my family at the beach. I'm not going to call the pilot. It's his kid's birthday. I don't want to interrupt him. So what the heck? I'll just jump in the car, drive from Vegas to San Diego. The way I drive, I like to drive fast. It's about a 4-hour drive. Unbeknownst to me, it is EDC weekend. It is Electric Daisy Carnival weekend. So there's a rave going on in Vegas with 125,000 people wearing furry hats and day-glow necklaces, smoking reefer, and it's just finished. So they're all egressing Vegas, heading back to Southern California, because that's where people that look like that and do those things live. So I get on the freeway, and a trip that should have taken me 4 hours, I'm 6 hours into the trip. And I am at about an hour and a half out from San Diego still, and I'm getting tired. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm exhausted. I either need to get a cup of coffee or I need to pull over and get a room and get some sleep. And there's this little town, little flea bite town in the middle of nowhere. And there's not much there. There's a motel there. And it's not really even a motel because the letter M is burned out on the sign. So it's an hotel. So there's this hotel there.
Can only imagine what lives in there.
Yeah, without a doubt. There's a bar and restaurant. There's an automotive repair shop, gas station, and there's a grocery store. Nothing else.
Sounds safe.
That's all that's there.
Sounds real safe and
Well,
comfortable.
it gets better. I pull into the hotel, and there's no cars there. It says vacancy on the sign. I'm going, yeah, no kidding. I walk into the lobby, and there's a man standing there, and he smiles at me. Can I help you? And I said, yes. How much to stay in your hotel? He says, $100 a night. And I look around and I say, are you kidding me? What the heck? He said, we're the only game in town. And he starts to look and sound like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. Oh, yeah. And so I'm really nervous at this point. I'm going, okay, what goes on here? So I said, okay, tell you what. I pull $100 out and I said, I'm going to leave the $100 on the counter. I'd like to look at the room, see if I want to stay here. So I put the $100 on the counter and I go to look at the room. I no sooner get out of eye shot. He grabs my $100 off the counter, runs across the street to the bar, hands the $100 to the guy at the bar and says, hey, bud, this should cover my tab. Oh. Bud takes the $100, slaps it on the bar to a guy drinking at his bar, says, hey, Rusty, this should take care of the repairs you did in my car. Rusty grabs it, the $100, hands it to his drinking buddy, and says, hey, John, this should take care of the groceries I bought at your grocery store. John takes the money, winks at the woman at the end of the bar, and says, you know what this is for. He gives her the money. She grabs the $100, runs across the street to the motel, puts it back on the counter where I put it, and says to her boyfriend, I wanted to pay you back the money I borrowed from you. I decide I'm not going to stay. I leave. I grab my $100, I get a cup of coffee, I get in my car, and I start driving. The question I have for everybody listening to this tale is, were those debts paid in full?
No.
They were. They absolutely were. All those transactions paid that debt in full. So velocity, as it pertains to our economy, our personal economy and the real economy, is the speed and frequency in which money changes hands.
Oh, wait, I see. Okay, because the guy that you gave the $100 to at the hotel then paid the bartender
Yep.
that then paid another debt. Technically, even though it rounded back to you, technically it's paid.
Everybody got paid.
Gotcha.
Everybody got paid.
Gotcha.
And so what most people don't realize is the reason most people are broke is they're holding on to their money. The reason government assistance will never work, it's an end user. They don't do anything with it that assists the economy. They blow it on frivolous things. Sure, they want to eat. I get all that, except even consumables start to go away. When the money stays in circulation, everybody wins because it multiplies. Velocity, or the speed and frequency in which money changes hands, is what makes for a good economy.
So then one way to fix it would be just the little story you told. Multiply that by
everybody.
How many people are 3 billion in the U.S.?
Yes.
Multiply that by 3 billion, the problem goes away.
So, but here's what's got to go away.
Right, but how do you get to that point?
Yes, that's it. I had open heart surgery about a year ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that. And I'm glad.
I'm alive, so don't be sorry. It worked out.
Well, prior to you going in, I'm sorry to hear that.
So I'm in. I have open heart surgery, and I'm in the ICU. And I'm laying in the ICU of two things. Number one, before I went into surgery, I have 3 young kids that you met right before we started the show.
Yeah, great kids.
They're amazing.
Very respectful.
They're
nice.
They're perfect.
Yeah.
They were born at home in the bathtub via hypnosis. No drugs, no pain, no doctor.
When you say via hypnosis, elaborate on that a little bit. We got to get back to the inflation, but
Yeah,
I can't help but hit you on that one.
We got a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I'll come back to the birth after this.
Sure.
So,
because we need to fix this shit.
yeah, we do need to fix it. So I'm lying in the hospital in the ICU, grateful to be alive. And before I went into the surgery, I told the doctor, I said, how long does a surgery take? And he said, it takes about 6 to 8 hours. I said, okay, it's open heart surgery. I said, you're going to have the fastest surgery you've ever had. He looked at me and said, really? I said, yes. And when I come back, when you bring me back to full awareness, it's going to happen very quickly. The moment I'm back to full awareness, you're going to call my wife and tell her I was a rock star. And so I'm coming to in the ICU, and as I'm coming to, the nurse is laughing. I said, what's so funny? She said, your surgery was the fastest surgery we've ever done. I said, I know. She said, how would you know that? I said, because I told him to. And I said, how long was it? She said, 3 hours. Wow. Everything went perfectly. Couldn't have gone better. I said, and she started laughing again. She said, yes, we've already called your wife and told her you were a rock star. And she said, of course he is. We know that. My dilemma was my son's birthday. My middle son, Maximus Marshall Sylver, was 2 days after my surgery. It was the only time we could schedule the surgery, and I was incredibly worried about having the surgery right before his birthday. God forbid something goes wrong. And
I want to ask you, for someone going into open heart surgery, knowing that, you're killing everything, Vegas, Palms, all Letterman, Stern, and now you're faced on the other end. Now you have to go into open heart surgery. What goes through your mind when you're going in there? And then on top of that, you got your son's birthday party 2 days later.
yeah.
So what goes through your mind when you're going in there? How do you go in there confidently where you're calm? And I would assume that maybe it went so good and well because you were able to calm yourself down.
Yes.
So he could do his thing easier as well.
Yes, that is it. And that's what he told me. That's what the doctor said. He said, people come in here with so much anxiety that their body is impacted. So yeah, the muscles are tight, they're anxious, their blood isn't flowing properly, and every single thought we think creates a physical response in the body. And you asked me a specific question, how do I deal with that? One of the things we teach, we have a foundational program I've been teaching for 40 years called Turning Point. And by the way, if you're watching this right now, keep watching because I've got a really special gift for you. One of the things we teach is this concept called surrender. Surrender is the idea that finding your life less than perfect is a waste of time. It is what it is. No matter what your current state, no matter where you find yourself right now, it is what it is. And spending time in the past is depression.
Dwelling.
Yeah, you can't change it. It happened. I was married twice before my one true wife, and I am glad that I was, because I know what a really bad marriage is, so I know what a really perfect marriage is, and my wife, Erica, is the best decision I ever made.
And I bet you know what it's like to be super poor.
I do.
From knowing your background, from born in Virginia to Michigan.
Born in Michigan. I was born in Michigan, no running water, no electricity.
Virginia.
My mother's name was Virginia.
Okay.
So you were making a connection there. That's good. Yes, we were dirt poor growing up, so I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like to be rich. I know what it's like to be broke again after you're rich. I know what it's like to be rich again and marry the wrong person. I know what it's like to be broke. And thank you, God, I know what it's like to be rich again.
And be happily married.
Well, yes, and happily married, but that's the point. All of that is surrender. Mm-hmm. At this point in my life, having been poor and rich and poor and rich and poor and rich, one of the things I've realized, I don't care how much money you make. You can make billions of dollars. Ask Mark Zuckerberg right now. You can make billions of dollars, and it can go away overnight. So don't be attached to being rich. Don't be attached to being poor. Be attached to being happy. Be attached to being happy. So anyways, back to the story. I'm lying in the hospital bed in the ICU, and I'm grateful to be alive, and my life's flashing before my eyes. And at one point in my life, I was $250,000 in debt. Sell everything I own, and I still owe $250,000 more. And I had a single idea, one idea. And if you're watching right now, you are one idea. I used to say from $1 million, not true anymore. You're one idea away from $1 billion. And I'm excited to talk about those $1 billion ideas with you because you get it. And so I'm lying in bed, and I'm remembering that I was $250,000 in debt, and I had this idea. And within 4 months, not only had I paid all the debt off, I had $2 million liquid net in the bank. And I thought, well, gosh, you did that. Do you think, because that was the byproduct of me almost dying, going through open heart surgery, I started realizing you really need to help other people. You really need to get in God's good grace because you might die, dude. So you got a lot of making up to do. And I thought, well, could I help somebody else? Could I take somebody else from broke or in debt and over the course of 4 months, 120 days, make them a multimillionaire?
Yeah, you start thinking, Marshall, just in case.
Yeah, well, and altruistically, for my kids, I want the world to be a better place for them. And so I said, yeah, I could take somebody else within 4 months and make them a millionaire. Then the question was, could you take anybody? No. The answer is absolutely not. As you know, and most people would recognize, there are people that are just flat out lazy. They're takers, and that's all they do. They are leeches, and that all they want is a handout. They're unwilling to contribute and plant and be a part of what is a healthy society. So I said, no, I couldn't take just anybody. And I said, well, what if you had what if you vetted people? What if you interviewed people and you took a number of people, you said, okay, they meet the criteria. They don't, they do, they don't. What if you took 12 people and over the course of 120 days taught all 12? Could you for sure, cameras running live, make one of them a millionaire? The answer was absolutely. In fact, after vetting them, probably 10 out of 12, if not all 12. And I said, okay, well, let's do it with the cameras running and let's put you at stake. So we're going to do something in 2023, right in the beginning of the year, where we are going to select. In fact, some people that are watching the show right now might be the people that we select. We're going to select 12 people. We're going to vet them. They're not going to pay me anything for this. We're going to vet them, and we're going to let the cameras run live. And we're going to turn those people in 120 days from where they are into multimillionaires with the camera running. And it answers your question. It's that paradigm. Since reality is created by validation, my desire would be anybody watching the program will see these people becoming millionaires in real time.
And then that leads
and
to
they'll
10
get
more.
it.
And 10 more.
Yes,
and 10 more.
they'll get it. They'll go, well, that was an unwed mother of 3 kids. She became a millionaire in 4 months. Heck, if she did it, I can do it. This older couple, this retired couple, they're 70, 75 years old, and they're struggling along. And they say, well, that retired couple became a millionaire in 4 months. We can do this.
It's no different than what we talked about with TikTok. Boom,
Yes.
somebody gets 2 million views and 50,000 likes. Marshall, you won't believe it. You're like, wow, well, I better get on TikTok. This could help.
Yes.
Okay, here's it. I better get on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
The only problem is TikTok's just a bunch of shit, and this isn't. But what you're doing with that...
Reality is created by validation.
Correct.
That's what it is.
Correct. What people choose to validate, right? Because not always what people think is reality is reality.
Yes.
But what would be even better if what you did was went to those people that are lazy, that are sitting around, because maybe they're lazy because they went after something they didn't love.
Yes.
Because would you agree with me? If you go, say you decide you want to be a doctor, or your parents are like, Marshall, be a doctor. So you go to doctor school for 10 years and you just suck, right?
Well, you hate it.
You're not in love with it,
Right.
right? So those lazy ones, how if you were able to get to them and found out what they love?
Right.
And maybe they love working at a gas station. So what? Be the manager. Then
Maybe be the owner.
Run the Eastern District,
Yes.
be the owner,
Right.
and so on.
Yep.
Now that would be some shit.
So this show was born out of a TV show that's already ran called Undercover Billionaire. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I have.
So Grant Cardone on the second episode, second season, Grant Cardone and 2 other female multimillionaires get dropped off with $100 and need to create a business worth $1 million in 90 days. I'm watching the show and in due respect was unimpressed. I'm watching the show. I'm going, well, of course they could become millionaires in 90 days. They were already worth $100 million each. That's not impressive. Take a normal person, make them a millionaire in 90 or 120 days. That would impress me. And I said, okay, Marshall, why don't you do it then? So yeah, the whole idea behind this is since reality is created by validation, the way you take away the power somebody has over you is you don't need them. So when we don't need government assistance, when we don't need government health care, when we don't need government protection even, when we can take care of ourselves, money cures most things. So my legacy, my gift to the planet as a poor farm boy who took what I do, took hypnosis, took subconscious reprogramming, and used it on myself to create over $600 million. Used it with my wife to hypnotize my wife to ask me out on a date with 1,000 other people in the room and her not knowing it and them not knowing it. For my wife to give birth to all of our babies via hypnosis with no drugs, no doctors, no pain. Everything about my life is subconscious reprogramming. It's hypnosis. My legacy, I want to give the gift of financial wellness to everybody by helping them see a different reality.
But the problem is, even though you have the cocktail, right? You have the foundation, but the
I don't have a cocktail there. I know they're a promise.
Well, we can make that. We can make that not a
I'm
problem.
teasing.
But where I see the problem is, how are you going to get this generation off that iPad 24/7? How are you going to That's the problem. Because yeah, guys my age, EK's age, you could bury them. Let's just face facts. You're a monster. You'll get to them. But it's the generation coming up. How are you going to get them off that game? How are you going to get them where if you tell them, hey, you did wrong, here's a pat on the butt, go to your room, they go and tell somebody, now you're bullying, harassment. How do you do it to that generation? So I could see that working my age, his age, but how do you get the younger age? And that's probably the most important, right?
So EK's, what, 24 years old, 23?
How old are you?
24.
24. My assistant, you met Anthony. He's 28.
Very nice guy.
Great guy. You met my children. They are perfectly behaved. I'm strict. I'm very strict. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
You have manners. You say thank you. You say please. You stand up when a woman enters the room if she needs a seat.
Always hold the door for a
Everything.
woman. I got my ass kicked when I was a kid if I didn't.
Well, and I've never kicked their ass, except I've let them know there's no right or wrong. There's consequence.
If you have a 6'6" grandfather from Italy,
I get it.
Kick your ass.
No, I got my butt
in
kicked.
the 80s.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I got my butt kicked. I got my butt kicked all the time by my father.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that I didn't spank my oldest son when he was little. I just realized quickly it didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work. And so I'm all about effectiveness. I'm all about outcome. And so, we just came back from the resort in Jamaica, and my kids are perfect. They're well behaved, except most kids aren't.
No.
So there's an answer to your question. Well, we'd be at a restaurant, and the kids at the next table would be carrying on, and my kids would lean over and say, "Daddy, what's wrong with those kids?" And I'd say they have really bad parents.
That's exactly right.
Because it's on the parents.
You're 100%.
So I hold a different belief about any generation. I don't think it's about a generation, and I don't think global statements are useful. What I mean is I don't think it's a useful idea to say everybody that's this age acts this way or everybody that's that race, whatever. I just don't think global statements work.
You're right. It's too general.
More than that,
general speaking.
More than that, since what we focus on expands, I choose to focus on a certainty that we can make a breakthrough, probably not with everybody, yet with enough people that we can start breaking generational chains, that we can start giving people new insights. When I was a young man, I did drugs. My older brother sold drugs. I did drugs, smoked pot. In my late teens, I did cocaine. The only reason I kept doing cocaine was because I had to work 3 jobs to pay for my cocaine habit. and I sold drugs. And again, I'm not proud or ashamed of it. It was just a fact.
Part of life.
It was just part of life. There was a point where I realized at 23 years old that I did not want to tell my future son, do as daddy says, not as daddy does. Right. And I called up everybody who ever sold me drugs, and I said, if you ever sell me drugs again, I'll turn you into the police. I knew if I couldn't get them,
at that end of that,
I couldn't get them, I couldn't do them.
You know what, Marshall? You made the best point that I think I've heard in any episode. I say it, everyone says it. This generation, no, it's the parents of this generation that are giving them the iPad to make them to stop crying. They aren't sitting down and saying, hey, look, let's go play sports or let's go do something else.
Anything.
Not here.
And they're not even at fault. The challenge is we have been as a world, and certainly as this country goes, I can't speak for every country, we're being enslaved. The whole system is designed to make sure that mother and daddy both have to go to work. So the kids are being raised in environments, in most times woke environments at public school, that they're being indoctrinated with stuff that's complete garbage and mental illness. That's not to say all teachers are bad. They're not. Except when the teachers speak out against the woke agenda that is being force-fed down people's throats, guess what? Those teachers get ostracized. Those teachers get fired.
The good thing is we can see pushback now, though.
Yes.
Finally, they're starting to push back. I remember...
Well, IamTheNextMultimillionaire.com. They'll go to IamTheNextMultimillionaire.com. Do not type in the www. Just type in IamTheNextMultimillionaire.com. And all they've got to do to claim their free audio is opt in. We'll send it to them immediately. No cost, no obligation, nothing to buy. It will change their life forever. We sell the audio all by itself for $50. So not a huge gift, $50 value. They'll dig it.
Hey, anything's anything.
Well, and like I said, every week I'm going to take 10 people, 5 pairs of tickets, and I'm going to randomly select people that opted in through your show. We're going to contact them and say, you've got complimentary tickets to come to the Turning Point event, and we'll tell them all about that. And like I said, we'll randomly select some of those people every single week, 2 or 3 of them at least, and we'll give them complimentary rooms in the location where the event is too.
And if you're listening to this, jump to Spotify and watch it so you can see it. But either way, website again, for those who
website, IamTheNextMultimillionaire.com.
And it will be on the top of the description when we put this out. So the link will be at the very top.
Awesome.
So do it.
Good stuff.
Marshall's not full of shit, that's for sure.
No, it's good stuff. And they're going to love it. They're going to come back, and it's the beginning of the velocity that we were talking about, the change in the world to get everybody to be personally responsible.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
For the viewers of the show and the world, really.
You're very welcome.
Be honest.
I want to just say something real quick because I said that.
Sure.
You talked about comments and haters in one of your previous episodes.
Yeah, they call them trolls.
They're trolls. They are trolls. I'm going to get trolled on this episode big time.
I won't.
Yeah, I will. And I don't mind. I'm okay with it. The higher the levels, the higher the devils. If you want to get attacked, have an opinion. except have an opinion anyway. Because if you don't have an opinion, guess what? You don't have a life. And if you're unwilling to stand for what you believe in, you stand for nothing, or you stand for worse, what is opposing you. So back to what I was saying about the parents. Parents are being, we flew in on a private jet from Jamaica. We'll fly the jet all the way to San Diego. I want my children to believe that's normal. I don't want them spoiled. I want them to believe that they can choose whether or not they want to fly commercially and the cost of that, whatever that is, or whether they want to fly privately and the cost of that, whatever that is. The cost of flying privately is a lot of money. The cost of flying commercially is a lot of headaches and wasted time, inconveniences, and aggravation. So which one do you want to pay for, I tell my kids?
I'll go with choice A.
Yes. I always tell people, you fly with me once on the private jet, you'll like it. You fly with me twice, you'll like it a lot. Fly with me 3 times, it will ruin you for life. You'll want it. Oliver Wendell Holmes said a mind once expanded will never contract to its original state. I say a wallet once expanded will never contract to its original state.
Well, I always wanted a Lamborghini. I put it up on my wall. I actually went into the Lamborghini dealership in New York, Manhattan Motor Cars. I'm sure you've been there.
Of course.
Many times with Walter. Are you ever going to buy anything? Yeah. But I kept, and what that did, and I think what you're kind of getting at is I kept making myself see it. So I'd work harder and harder. Mm-hmm. And one day, eventually, I went in and I got that Lamborghini Gallardo that they no longer make for some reason, Spider.
Yep.
But like you're doing with the jet.
Yep.
That is normal.
Yes.
So now if you want to live like this is what you have to do.
Yes.
Work your ass off pretty much.
And to go back to a point you made earlier, about the guy that his parents wanted to be a doctor, and he goes to medical school. He or she goes to medical school 6, 7, 8 years, and they hate it. They don't want to be a doctor. The only reason they're there is they love their parents, and they don't want to disrespect their parents, and they know how hard their parents are working so that they can be a doctor and conceivably have a better life. The thing is, I believe the best thing that you can do is to design your life so that the way you want to live it naturally produces the results that you want. When I went through my open heart surgery, I gained 45 pounds in 30 days after the surgery. They couldn't figure out what was going on, and so they thought I was just retaining a lot of liquid. They put me on diuretics and all sorts of stuff. 6 months go by, and they can't figure out what's going on with my body. I'm fat right now. And I don't mind saying fat because that's what it is. And if I pretend I'm not, then I'm just in denial, and I'm not in denial. So about 2 months ago, I went to my doctor. I said, look, if you can't figure out what it is, I'm just going to decide I'm fat. And I just need to take the weight off. I'm not going to wait for your magic wand to say, oh, this is why you gained so much weight so quick. It just happened.
No, Marshall, don't you understand? They're waiting for the drug rep to come to see
That's exactly what it is.
What are they going to give you because they want to get the kick?
That's exactly what it is. And so
it really is.
That is exactly what it is. So 2 months ago, I said, I'm done. I'm done being that guy. I'm going back to the guy that I was. Whatever I've got to go through to make that happen, I'm responsible. So I'm down 16 pounds over the last 2 months. That's not a lot, except it's 16 pounds going the right direction. I do not like to work out anymore. When I was in my 20s, man, I loved lifting. I loved running. I'd run 5 miles a day. I'd live for an hour a day. I'm 60 now. That's just not my life. But I love my wife, and you saw her. She's young. She's 24 years younger than I am, and she's beautiful because I am a really good hypnotist. And I love being with my wife. And I love playing racquetball with my wife. And playing racquetball with my wife isn't working out. It's spending time with my wife doing something that I love. Just so happens it's a really good cardio workout. And so think about the design of our lives. I don't work anymore. I flew down to Jamaica to train real estate investors in 2 things. How to reprogram their brains with the thoughts of multi-millionaire and billionaire real estate investors so they would do what those people do and produce similar results. And the second thing that hypnosis is powerful for is as a skill of influence, persuasion, selling. So I'm down there in Jamaica teaching them, here's how you use these language patterns to persuade and influence, negotiate a better deal on the properties you're buying and selling.
If you think about it, right? Let's just say other animals that look at us. What do we have? Nothing but a brain. We can't see shit compared to any other animal.
We're not really strong compared to other animals.
Not strong. We can't hear shit. Our sense of smell is terrible. All we have is our brain. And our brain is what makes us the alpha at the moment, right?
At the moment is a good way to put it.
Yeah. So you're right. So if you can control the brain to an extent, then you can control the planet.
Yep.
Or the country. Or
Now, when you control your thoughts, you control everything.
everything.
So turning point, that's one of the first things we do is we teach people something I call self-mastery. And that's total control of your thoughts and emotions. Nothing has any power except the power that you give to it. And you choose.
See, I can deal with this speaking shit. See, I can't stand most of the speaker stuff because it's just, to me, it's senseless.
It's fluff.
But when it's spoken like that, it's more of a business. It's more of a mentorish.
Well, again, you're a coder.
Yeah.
You're a coder, and because you're a coder, your logic says, okay, this makes sense. That makes sense. I am not a motivational speaker. I think motivational speakers, for the most part, are what I call seminar yada yada. Just make people feel good. There's a book. It's called The Secret, and it's a very dangerous book.
Very dangerous.
Because the secret is there's no secret.
Yeah.
That's the secret. That's
how you can tell if somebody actually read it when they say they've read it. Right.
So, self-actualization, having a positive mental attitude, the law of attraction, all real technology. The challenge is it's step one. After you've used the law of attraction, you actually have to do something. You have to get off your butt and do something. There's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. Yep. Another extremely dangerous book. Stupid book, in my opinion. The book is all about people who save every dime they have. They're misers. They don't get their latte. They live in cardboard box houses. They drive beat-up old cars forever, and then they die, and they're millionaires. And I'm thinking, excuse me, you don't have to work that hard to be a millionaire. And if you're going to be a millionaire, you should enjoy it.
Like, remember, the old saying when we were growing up, you can't. You're gonna whatever. What was it? You can't if you don't spend it. What are you gonna do? Die with it? Or it was some saying I used to hear all the time in my family. So I'd be like, hey, what the hell?
No,
if I have it, I'm spending it.
I would agree. And again,
reason.
Well, when we talk about income generating assets, and sometimes my friend Robert Kiyosaki talks about it in his books, income generating assets, invest in things that generate income. Paupers, or people that aren't multimillionaires and aren't making at least $1 million net per year joyfully, will think, oh, I need to just buy real estate, or I need to buy this thing over here that will make me money. I have a different take on that. My belief is you should buy whatever it is you want to buy and then figure out how to make that thing make you money.
But take the time to look into what you're going to buy, right? Don't just jump in and buy it, because
have foresight for sure. Be creative. Put your ducks in a row. I'll give you an example. We live in Vegas, and I love Vegas. Our home in Vegas is 17,000 square feet. I'm on an acre and a half, 125,000-gallon pool, purple tennis court, putting green, skateboard park. It's a resort.
I need some practice putting.
You do. You should come visit me.
I would love to.
It's a resort.
Now, how did that real estate market take a hit? Here, everything went, double? At minimum, double. If not 1.5.
Are we talking over the last couple of years?
Like in the last year.
No, the Nevada governor is a moron.
Oh, really? Here, a house that was, say, $500K is now 1.3.
Of course it is.
And then it's 1.3, Marshall, and you got a cash buyer from New York coming in paying 1.7, $500K over price.
Right. Yes.
All day, every day.
All day, because the governor of New York destroyed New York. The mayor of New York City destroyed New York City. And I love New York. I love New York City. And it's saddening to me what was allowed to be done there. The governor of Florida handled everything and continues to handle everything really well.
Remember the Rainbow Room in New York? Remember the Rainbow Room?
I never went there.
Oh, you could see over Times Square. They closed it, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, I wish. I did Letterman a long time ago, so back then, there's probably when the Rainbow Room was there. I just love New York. I've always loved New York, and it's sad to me when I see mental illness being perpetuated as if it's truth.
Yeah. And that's probably the biggest problem overall. Not paying attention to mental illness. Right?
Well, not calling it what it is.
We're not calling it what it is. Right?
Attempting to be what's the words? Politically correct.
Yeah.
Just attempting to stand everybody's good side. Again, I don't need everybody to like me. In fact, it would serve everybody, you, me, everybody watching the show, to lose the need for other people's approval. Okay. That doesn't mean you can be nasty and mean and rotten. That's not the point. The point is doing everything you can to not offend people makes you lose your identity. What's the point?
You lose it.
Yep.
And people need to debate and need to say your opinion. Just like Elon had said when he was going to buy, and I thought it was one of the best quotes I had ever heard. He said, if you say fuck you, Tommy, I should be able to say fuck you too, Marshall, because if you don't, you're not a human.
Right.
And if you don't, you can never progress. Because we might say, fuck you, Tommy, fuck you, Marshall. We shake hands, we go to dinner, we come up with an idea that changes planet, right?
Well, there was a time when we could disagree without hating each other.
Right. Or you could be red and I'm blue, or I'm blue and you're red, and we just talk a little bit about it and we go hang out.
Yeah,
now it's like...
So again, it goes back to what you were talking about this generation or this way of being. Right. It's all hypnosis.
Yeah.
And so if short-term people don't like me because I'm outspoken, they don't like me because they don't share my opinion, and they go back and they say, well, gosh, he seemed like actually a decent guy. I just didn't agree with him. Okay. Same is true for you. I agree. We don't hold the same opinion, and it's not an either-or world. It's an and world. We don't hold the same opinion, and I still respect your opinion. I respect your right to have an opposing opinion. Doesn't mean we'll dine together because maybe I dislike your opinion that much. I'm just not interested. And it doesn't mean that you're less of a human being in my eyes.
You're so good, and now I'm seeing it is because you speak opinionated.
I am opinionated.
But I know, but you've mastered being able to speak opinionated, whereas most people that would speak about this like this come off as, this is how we should do it, where you come off as, in my opinion, this is what I think, and it's more, you pay attention to it more when it comes like that, because it's not the next, whoever telling you what to do and jump off the cliff without, unless there's a check there, then of course you'll do whatever they say.
You're funny. It's Ben Franklin. It's him, again. If you want to get attacked, have an opinion. I tell my kids all the time, you will never get what you want by throwing a fit, ever. You may get what you don't want by throwing a fit. So choose wisely.
Robert Malone, he was supposed to come in last week, but we had talked prior, but the hurricane, so we had to reschedule. And one of his big things, I wish I could remember the exact thing, but it's exactly what you're talking about that they did with the vaccine. It was called it's mass something. So, right. So the definition of it basically is, hey, look, this vaccine is the greatest thing in the world to take it. You get all the media coverage to go along with it. It's basically brainwashing by the masses, all the way to the platforms and everything else. And that goes into everything that's going on right now, right?
Yeah, it is everything. It's all hypnosis.
It all is.
Anybody that was clearly thinking without having any kind of agenda or threat or coercion would look at most of what's going on right now and see right through it. They go, well, why would you believe that? Doesn't make any sense.
So you as a hypnotist,
yes.
When you're walking down the street and you see everybody like this, everybody's on the phone, everyone either here, and you're talking to them, and they're looking at the phone while you're having a conversation. They can't wait to look at that phone, or they're feeling to see if it's vibrating. Everybody's hypnotized. When you think about it, everybody is. You turn on the news.
That is very true.
You think that Fox is red. You think that CNN is blue. But really, when they all stop talking about Ukraine, they all stopped talking about Ukraine.
Right.
When the border went to 1 hour a day, it all went out to 1 hour a day. So after reading about...
Well, the media is all mockingbird. That's all it is.
It's all hypnosis, right?
Well, and so my belief is broadcasting like this, where we can have a real conversation, no agenda. You and I were talking a bit that there's, even in this model, there's certain things that sponsors or platforms don't want you to talk about. I get it. If I have an audience that appeals to a certain demographic and I use profanity overly to the point where, they don't want to advertise diapers because they know that parents aren't liking me dropping the F-bomb, I get that. Except I also get their choice of not advertising on my show. Their choice of not having me on their platform. I get all that. I believe with the advent of what's going on right now, communication equals wealth. First, we communicate internally. The 1,500 words per minute that go through our mind telling us who we are and who we aren't, what we can be, what we can do, what we can have. Unless you take total charge of your thoughts and emotions, complete control of your mind, you cannot communicate the second way, which is external communication. In external communication, whatever we send out into the universe, it bounces back, meaning how we communicate to the world determines how the world shows up for us. So yes, I have an opinion. And I also believe, though, it's easy to read between the lines that I'm also okay with you having one. And that's the way that people that are able to say the tough stuff, like the Elon Musks, frankly, like the Donald Trumps, like the people that say unpopular things at first, that when you sit back and you listen and you think about it, you go, as much as I don't want to agree, they're right. You know,
I think they do also have an open mind as well, too. You
do.
might think that they don't, but there's no way a guy like Elon, Trump, we can go on for days, get where they're at without an open mind because they learned on their way up. So they may come with that strong opinion, but don't let that fool you. Their mind's open.
well, and don't let that fool you either, that the moment they realize there's evidence to the contrary, they don't change their opinion instantly.
Yeah,
So what that says is there's no ego involved in that mindset.
which is the best.
That is the best because it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. And those are the people that I like hanging out with. You know, if I've had plenty of circumstances as a husband, as a father, where I was wrong. And I'm in a conversation, maybe a discussion, a heated discussion with my wife, and all of a sudden it occurs to me, she's right, I'm wrong. I don't attempt to hold my position just to see if she'll falter and maybe agree with me. I'll go, you know what, honey? You're right.
It's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. And it's all ego.
It's all you.
It's vanity.
Yeah.
My favorite sin.
Now, how did you end up on Letterman? How did that? Because that was the one that I noticed, and I could be wrong, but that was the one that seemed to really change things. You were already there.
Well,
right?
it depends on which time you're talking about. Because I've been on Letterman 6 times.
Well, I don't know which clip I have. So the one where you got
Biff.
Biff. When you
Yeah,
got Biff.
the one where I hypnotized Biff.
Yeah.
So let me tell you the backstory
Yeah,
then.
then we'll play the clip. Yeah.
I was a magician as a young man. I was a magician as a young man.
Yeah, I want to go there.
So let me start there.
Okay.
And I was introduced to magic at 7 years old by my brother, who's 4 years my senior, from Scouting magazine, Boys Life.
Boys Life.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they had magic tricks, and he did the tricks, and he showed them to me at 7. At 7 years old, we don't have the same cognitive dissonance yet. In other words, we see through everything. We don't make assumptions because, the bag's empty. We don't believe. We go, show me. And that's what a 7-year-old does, and that's what I did to my brother. So I saw through everything he did.
But why was it when you got your dad and he believed?
Yes.
Why'd you fall in love with it then? What was it about that you got your dad that boom? What is it that you wanted to get his approval?
Yes.
I mean, there was 10 of you guys.
Yes.
Guys and girls.
All buying decisions are based first on emotion and then backed up with logic. Our subconscious mind is our emotional mind. Our conscious mind is our logical mind. Hypnosis is bypassing the conscious mind, the logical mind, speaking directly to the subconscious or emotional mind.
That's already there anyway.
It's the computer. You should get this. With a computer, garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
So whatever beliefs you hold to be true in your mind, you'll filter everything else through that program that's written, through that code. And so what it was with my father is my mother and father divorced early. I don't remember him as a young man. He got reintroduced into my life about 6 years old. And he just was an angry man. I think he was a hurt man because I think hurt people. And I never could get love from my dad, let alone good attention. And I did magic. I did the tricks my brother had demonstrated to me for my father, and he was amazed. And he gave me love. He gave me kindness, and I'd never experienced it before. It hooked me instantly. I said, I want more of that.
Gotcha.
And again, it's that stimulus response in all of us. They say your first $1 million is the most difficult one to make, which I would agree.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is just skip the first one altogether. Just move on to the second one. And it's not just a joke because you can do that. And how you do that is really simple. We do who we think we are. So if I think I'm a pauper trying to be a millionaire, it's different than me knowing I'm a millionaire whose money has not yet been deposited in my bank account. It's not can I, it's a certainty. It's done. I just need to figure out which door it's behind. And, when you come from that point of view, you keep opening the doors until you find the money. When you come from the pauper's point of view, maybe I'll get lucky. Possibly I'll be a millionaire. You stop opening doors. Because you say,
keep buying lotto tickets.
yes,
Right?
which can work. I mean, it can work.
Maybe if I go with you,
Yeah.
tell me which one to pick.
I'm the luckiest guy on the planet.
Do you win on lotto tickets?
I don't gamble anymore. I used to be a whale in Vegas.
For you?
Yeah, I used to be a whale in Vegas, and I only played blackjack. I didn't play anything else. And people say, "Did you count cards?" I say, "Of course not. Of course not. Counting cards isn't illegal. It's just frowned upon because you can beat the casinos. It's math." And when my wife and I met, we were sitting there one night for another 4 hours, and I was a couple $100,000 up. Except I also realized my wife was sitting beside me for 4 hours. And I don't smoke cigars anymore. I used to smoke a lot of cigars. I'm smoking cigars and I'm drinking alcohol. She doesn't drink. She doesn't smoke. She doesn't gamble.
Oh, you're boring her to death.
Well, no. She would just sit there. And one day I said, honey, why do you sit beside me while I'm gambling? You don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't gamble. Why do you sit there? She said, I just want to be with you. And I went,
buddy, 1 in a million.
No kidding. I went, okay. Well, no more cigars, that's for sure. and I loved her so much, I said, you know what? I think I'm done gambling too. I don't want to waste your time. Because if you're there just to be with me, there's better things we could be doing.
Hey, that's 1 in a million. Congratulations.
It's
you know it. That's worth more.
Oh, I do know it. No, and I get a lot of grief when I go on podcasts. They say, man, all you do is talk about your wife.
No, I think that you're lucky as hell is what you are.
I was married before. I know what I was married for 11 months. The divorce took 4.5 years. So I know how fortunate I am. I am a grateful man.
What country was she from, Marshall?
She was from the U.S., but
even worse.
She was dating the judge that was overseeing our divorce.
Oh, you couldn't get a switch? No? Well, I guess not. He has to sign off on it, huh?
It was what it was, and it is what it is. You remember that perfection and surrender stuff I was talking about?
Yeah. That's some bad luck, buddy.
No, it is. It isn't. Again, I refuse to live my life thinking anything was good or bad. It just isn't.
Okay, from an outsider's point of view, your ex-wife is with the judge. Not good.
No, it is what it is. Because, mind you, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have the respect that I have for my wife. I wouldn't have the appreciation that I have for my wife. I wouldn't have those 3 great kids. And so, again, finding your life less than perfect is a waste of time.
Okay. Me personally, at the moment, if my ex-wife is banging the judge that's going to make the decision, at the moment, I would be like, oh, this is not going to be good. Now, after it, yeah, whatever, it's done and over with. But at the moment, I'd be like, this is exactly what would happen to me for that day, and then I wouldn't give a shit.
Well, good. Then be in the don't give a shit day.
Don't worry. My high school sweetheart left me for a detective, so whatever.
Yeah, go figure.
Go
figure.
Yeah, long story. Anyway.
So again, getting back to it, nothing has any power except the power that we give to it. What we believe to be true is true for us. What we focus on expands. Oh, by the way, I didn't finish the end of that story. We're shooting a documentary, 12 weeks. We're going to take 12 people, and we're going to make at least one of them a millionaire in that time. Or if I'm not able to make one of them a millionaire, I'm going to give $2 million to charity. And the person that makes the most money over $1 million, number one, they all get to keep their money because it's their money. They're not paying me to teach them. I'm doing it for the documentary. I'm doing it for the example. The person that makes the most money over $1 million, I'm going to give an additional $1 million prize to.
Now, that's how the government should work.
Yes.
Where you get paid.
You reward the ones that are doing well.
Reward the ones that are doing well.
Yes.
I think that's a great motto.
Well, this thing is I really believe it's going to be a paradigm shift for people.
Yeah.
I really believe people are going to look at this show and they're going to say, it's not difficult to make money, it's different, which it is.
Well, like you said, if you have that mindset that not how can I, will I, that it's there, I have $1 million, I just have to go get it in Guam. How am I going to get to Guam? If that's how you think, I mean, that's good shit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else to say.
Yeah, and again, it's the same thing with my kids. If they want something, we give our children 10 Christmas gifts. That's all. Not 11, not 9, not 56, not trying to cover the whole floor of the Christmas room. We give them 10 gifts. Santa gives them one.
You hear this, parents? You hear this?
Santa gives them.
Buy him a house full.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine. He's wealthy, and I like the guy a lot, and I think he's a good dad. The one thing I don't agree with, he's got this room in his house that they put the tree in the corner, and his objective is to fill the entire floor up with Christmas gifts, cover the whole room in gifts. And I think it's damaging to those kids.
Yeah.
They don't play with the gifts.
Spoiled.
They might unwrap one time and throw it away. They never touch it again. I just think it sends a bad message. My kids get 10 gifts, 9 from mom and dad, and it might be a T-shirt, might be one of them, and then 1 from Santa. Last year, July, I said to my kids, you guys know we have a really good life. We're at the beach house. You know we have a really good life, right? And they said, yes, Daddy, we know that. I said, you know that yeah, you can bring that in. Just walk it in. My assistant's got an urgent message. Is that for him? It's for me? Let me see. Okay. What time is it?
That's 10 fast, so you got to be there. Okay.
Are we good?
Yeah, we got 40 minutes.
Okay.
You write that down, AK? Yeah, I'll just slice that little part out. That's all.
You can slice that, or here's the challenge. No, you can leave it in because here's the challenge. Yeah. the pilots are only allowed to fly a certain number of hours a day. Since we left Jamaica and flew 2.5 hours to get here, they have to complete the rest of their hours in a certain amount of time, or we've got to stay on the ground till they get rest. It's FAA law.
Right.
So you can keep that in.
Okay.
This is a rich person's problem right here. That's what that is.
That's not a bad problem to have.
It just is what it is. Again, we're dealing with what it is. And I pray, no matter how long I'm able to be with you, I find you fascinating.
Oh,
and I want this to be the beginning of a lifetime relationship. And I pray that you have me back on the show, that the viewers like it enough. They say, this is good stuff. Because
before you run out, we got to play Letterman, and you got to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about the Letterman thing. And I also want to give a gift to everybody watching the show.
Awesome.
Big gift, actually.
Okay, you said 4:30, so it's 3:50. What time do you want out of here? What time do you want to end this by?
It's about 20 minutes back to the plane, so I got to be walking out the door by 4:10.
4:10. Okay, at 4:05, just let me know. Good to go. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So let's dive into let's take a look at some footage.
Yeah. Pull up tab 2. So now, how did the call to get on Letterman happen?
So what happened was
that was in his prime, buddy.
Well, I became a hypnotist in my early 20s, and I would sit down in front of the TV every single night watching Letterman, and I would say, I'm going to be on Letterman's show. The thing that most people don't recognize is you've got to figure out what's your unique marketing proposition.
That is such the key. I'm going to be on Letterman's show.
It was a definition of purpose, in the words of Napoleon Hill.
I'm going to have a studio like Rogan.
Yes.
I'm going to have a Lamborghini.
Yes.
I heard the song by Tyrese, believe it or not, and he said, I'm driving up the hills in my Bentley. And I said, I'm going to have a Bentley.
Yep.
I had 4.
Yes.
It took forever to get all this shit.
It's an intention of purpose. Napoleon Hill talked about it in Think and Grow Rich. It's everything.
You're 100. Yep. Think and Grow Rich.
So I'm watching Letterman, except I said you got to have a unique marketing proposition. There's got to be something that makes him pay attention. So I created this character called the fastest hypnotist in the world. And I had to wear dark sunglasses all the time because if you looked into my eyes, you'd go into trance. And then I shot footage of me shaving with my sunglasses on and lowering the glasses to see if I was shaved, and I collapsed because I looked into my own eyes. And I shot footage of me going to the grocery store in the middle of the night, pitch black, and I'm wearing my sunglasses just so that I don't accidentally hypnotize people. Sent that footage in. They thought it was so funny. They booked me literally 2 weeks after I sent it in. I was at the beginning of my career. So I go on Letterman. I'm 23 years old. First national television appearance in my lifetime. And Letterman is afraid of me. I didn't know this till later. That's what was going on. He's afraid of me. And so he's messing with me. And I'm attempting to hypnotize these 3 people, and he keeps grabbing them and shaking them. Are you hypnotized? Are you hypnotized? And he keeps bringing them out of trance. And so I'm 23 years old. I got this older guy, experienced television talent, beating the crap out of me. And so I just put my tail between my legs and I go home. I get a call a week later, and it's Morty, his producer, says, we've never gotten this many calls on a guest before. I said, what do you mean? They said, they're all angry that David didn't let you do your thing. We want you to come back on the show. I said, no, he'll just harass me again. I don't want to do the show. No, please, Marshall, we want you back on the show. We'll do whatever you want. Please, we want you back on the show. No, I don't want to do it. He's just going to be mean to me again. No, please, we'll give you whatever you want. I said, okay, that's fine. I'll do the show. Just I want him to let me do what I do. And so I fly back to New York, and I'm in the hotel getting ready to go to the studio, and Morty calls me up. So you going to tell any jokes? And I said, yeah, I got a couple. And he said, what are you going to tell? And I said, this joke, that joke. I'm so naive. I don't realize he's got his writers writing, counter jokes to my jokes. So we go there, and I'm going to make a woman, I'm going to hypnotize a girl, make her stiff and rigid, lay her across supports for her neck and for her ankles. And then I'm going to stand on her midsection. I thought, what a great demonstration on television. I go to do it. I need David's help to step up on top of the girl just for balance to get up there to do it. He starts doing it again. I grab the girl, and I have to make her stiff and rigid by touching the sides of her body with my forearms, stiff and rigid as a steel bar, stiff and rigid as a steel bar, and he starts mocking me. He gets between me and the camera, steel bar, steel bar. He's mocking me. And I put up with it. I get the woman laid across the top. She's still mocking me. I said, David, save your breath. You'll need it to blow up your date later.
Oh.
He looks over at me. He looks back at the camera. He kicks his desk, drops an F-bomb, and they edit that out. But he kicks his desk, drops an F-bomb, and he's still mocking me. And he's going, stiff and rigid as a steel bar. I said, yes, David, stiff and rigid, something you know nothing about. Come help me. And he's like fuming at this point. We do the whole thing. I get done. Ziggy Marley is on after me. And Letterman cannot let it go. I'm in his head. And he says, in one of his mocks of me, he says, leans to the camera, goes, "For all your hypnotic needs, Marshall Sylver is the man to see." He's mocking me.
Yeah.
Except, do you know what I use in my advertising and promotional items to this date?
You mock yourself.
No, I say, "For all your hypnotic needs, Marshall Sylver is the man to see." David Letterman.
You made him bite his own words. And just for people, we're about to play this clip.
So this clip,
when you were on there, Letterman was at the top of his game.
Yep.
He was at the top. This was no easy show to get on. This was he was at his prime.
He was. And this is when he was on NBC when he beat me up at 23. Every single year for 10 years, Morty would call me up and ask me to come back on the show. And I'd say, no, I don't want to do that. Two things happened. Letterman did not get the Tonight Show. He moved over to CBS. He was in a ratings battle with Leno.
I was surprised he didn't get
I was surprised, too. He didn't get the Tonight Show. He's in a ratings battle with Leno.
This podcast is brought to you by Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet, Monster Energy. It's the ideal combo of the right ingredients in the right proportion to deliver a big bad buzz that only Monster can. Monster packs a powerful punch, has a smooth, easy drinking flavor. Athletes, musicians, co-eds, road warriors, metalheads, geeks, hipsters, and bikers dig it. You will too. Monster Energy is more than just the green OG. Monster has Monster Ultra, Juice Monster, Monster Hydro, Rehab Monster, Dragon Tea, Monster Max, Muscle Monster, and many more. Buy on Amazon, buy on Walmart, or go to monsterenergy.com and believe me, you'll find a place. Unleash the beast. Monster Energy.
And he became a kinder, gentler Dave. The show was still amazing. His edge went away. So Morty calls me up one day, and he's
Stern.
Yes, just like Stern, exactly like Stern. So, which I've been on Stern show 6 times.
Yeah.
I just opened my show in Las Vegas, and I need to promote it. So I said, I'll go back and I'll promote the show. And I said to Dave, I'll do the show on one condition. I want to hypnotize your staff. Because there was a part of me that thought that maybe his cynicism was that he didn't believe what I was doing. And I figured if I hypnotized his staff, how can you argue with that? It's got to be legit. And so I did. I went back and I hypnotized his staff, and that's what this clip is.
Hit play. This
By the way, this is a few years ago.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen a guy by the name of Marshall Sylver on
Absolutely.
television? Marshall Sylver is a professional hypnotist, and we thought, well, maybe what we ought to do is bring Marshall in here. Doing tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it's Hypnosis Night here on The Late Show. And the first one of these, I believe it's me, Marshall, and you're going to see one of our stage managers, Biff Henderson. And now, sleep now. There he goes. He's out like a carp now, ain't he?
He's out like a carp, he says.
We can do a funny thing.
Yeah, what would you like him to do?
When he comes to, I just want him just to start laughing about how much money I make, and it's way too much money. Just laugh and laugh and laugh.
You got it. On the count of 3, you'll open your eyes. The moment Dave says, "How much money do you think I make?" it'll hit you full force, and you will roar with laughter. On the count of 3, open your eyes. Biff, feeling fantastic in every way. 1, 2, 3, fully aware.
Biff, how you doing?
Okay.
Do you think I do an okay job on the show?
Do great.
Yeah, I screw it up every now and then, though. I screw it up.
Well, it's funny.
Yeah, but as far as you're concerned, I'm worth the money they're paying me, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, you're sure you're worth the money.
Yeah. You don't think I'm getting too much money, right? I'm like
Oh, she gets
$100 a week. Would that be too much? And you're out cold now, right, Biff? You're here now, but every time I ask you about how much money I make, what happens? Because you were hypnotized on the phone, right? You don't think I make too much money, do you, man?
I want to hit 2 things quick because I know
Yeah.
you rush. EK, go to the not the next tab, the tab over with the trailer from that. The next one over, that one right there. Play that. And this is the trailer from What You Do in Vegas. This is insane.
Yeah, we have fun.
You like how I got that? Right
Yes.
off your site.
Yep.
Code, buddy.
You're amazing.
What gave you the idea to add in like a whole act within the.
A production show.
Yeah, like it's not just you go and you're going to hypnotize people. It's a full blown act.
Yeah, I don't do anything halfway. If I'm going to do it, we want to have fun. So yeah, we have the world's largest hypnotic production show. In fact, I have a theater.
I mean, these guys, costumes, choreography.
I have a theater in Carlsbad, California, that we are about to open up this show as a resident show, and we'll be there every single week.
Okay, you come out and you're like, look, I'm about to fuck shit up.
Yeah, we have fun. Hey, I want to make sure I get this in if it's okay with you.
Absolutely.
I have a gift.
Go to his website, please, and keep that up. So that
Sure.
it's up there.
I have a gift, and it's a two-part gift. We've talked a lot during the show.
Last tab, EK, I'm sorry.
We talked a lot, and it's not even this one, so I'm going to give you a different website.
I'll pull it up. Just tell me.
Do you have don't put in www, just put in IamTheNextMultimillionaire.com.
Okay.
And here's what it is everything begins with subconscious reprogramming. I'd like to give anybody watching the show right now, listening to this program, I'd like to give them a free gift that will reprogram their brains. No cost involved. All they've got to do is download the audio completely free. It's what I used when I was broke to transform my brain, to start seeing the world the way a millionaire sees the world, viewing the world the way a millionaire views to produce similar results.
What year did you use this?
I've been using these types of programs since I was 23.
Wow.
I do this every single day.
And you were how old on Letterman?
Oh, gosh. The first time I was on Letterman, I was 23. The second time I was 33. And obviously now I'm 60.
So it works.
It works.
And Stern.
Yes, it works. And again, I want people to recognize that when you change what's going on in your head, everything changes. When you change the code that you're running on the subconscious computer of your mind, there's no way you can go back to the old life. That's gift number one. May I give another gift?
Absolutely.
And again, I want you to know that the people that download that audio, number one, it's going to change their lives. There's no cost, no obligation. You don't have to buy anything. Just download the audio. The second gift is I do a program every single month called Turning Point. Tickets are $3,000 a piece. I've looked at a ton of your podcasts, and you have like an astronomical amount of viewers. And you have people, I went through the comments, you have comments, people watch them, something you did 6 months ago, 8 months ago, a year ago, they're still watching, they're still consuming the content. So I want to do something unique. I'm going to give absolutely free 5 Turning Point tickets, good for 2 people each, per week for the next 6 months of the viewers of your podcast. So if somebody jumps on after 3 months it's been published and they jump on, they go, hey, I might want to go do the Turning Point. I'm going to give away 5 pairs of tickets a week. And some of those people randomly selected, I'm also going to pick up the hotel rooms either in Vegas or Orlando when we're doing the event.
Wow.
So here's what I want. Here's selfishly what I want.
You're extremely confident.
I'm totally confident. I want raving fans for your show. I want people.
You find it?
IamTheNextMultimillionaire.com.
Oh, multimillionaire, okay.
I want raving fans for the beginning of the velocity that we were talking about, the change in the world to get everybody to be personally responsible.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
For the viewers of the show and the world, really.
You're
Let's
very
just
welcome.
Be honest. I mean, really. And you got to come back.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
For 4 hours, man.
Next time, I guarantee I'll have 4 hours.
All right.
You got it, brother.
All right. You got it.
Thanks so much, Tommy.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. Thank you.
The headset's on. I'm hearing for the first time today. I woke up this morning and I literally couldn't hear anything out one ear at all. Nothing. I went, oh, man, what a day.
And what happened again?
Just diving.
Oh, just dive.
Yeah, in and out of the water and diving.
All right. Ready, Ika?
And this is my live cam.
Yep.
Got it.
And even though like that monitor looks weird in color, that's not how you look.
Cool.
Maybe move a little bit this way. Yep, just like that. You can rip this all you
Sure.
want. If you break it, a lifetime warranty.
Lovely.
Do whatever you want. All right, ready, okay?
Yes, sir.
All righty. This podcast is brought to you by Liquid IV. This is a product I always use after I run, work out, and do the sauna. It's a great way to hydrate the body and feeling your best self. All you do is 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water. It hydrates the body faster and more efficient than water alone. 3 times the electrolytes as other sports drinks and contains 5 essential vitamins, B5, B12, B3, B6, and vitamin C. It also tastes great. Flavors like watermelon, lemon lime, strawberry, and many more. Buy in bulk at Costco or go to liquidiv.com and use the code MSCS Media, no space, for 15% off. No other way to hydrate the body.